college, actually with elementary school and all that, she has a large Williams office into the city where we're from. So
I was like, really close to
November is pretty good. Figure out what the next steps were like, and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So I guess they were talking about putting together and just kind of went from there. Worked with Mike Nicky.
Hey guys, listen, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna eat the whole plate of chicken nuggets by myself. You know, I cannot afford that many
That's because she
calories.
runs a million miles.
Well, yeah, but that's the problem, is in my head, I'm like, oh,
I justify that.
I can have 2 donuts, sure. Yeah, 10 miles does not equal 2 donuts. So let me just share that with you. James, I'm so excited for your class. I'm gonna sit in the back and just, I have some work to do, but I'm gonna pay attention to you. Don't think I'm being rude. Hi. And I'll let you guys get started. I'm gonna sneak back in the back of my computer.
Okay, about a few more minutes.
Okay. The eat the chicken minis. And then look that up.
Anybody remember the name of the website company that came in? Helium. Okay, because I was telling them at it was so good. It was so good. I'm so glad I brought my friend to that. Yeah. I was like, that was a good one for her to come to.
Where are your sons, James? They were coming back.
Yeah, I thought they were coming too.
I thought Mike told them they had to come. Yeah, I know. I wouldn't expect
We have
it.
the first person, I guess.
That is a nice surprise when you haven't had breakfast and it's here.
Right. All right. I'm so close, I can see everything. All right, yeah.
I hope everybody's coming to happy hour Thursday night. If you've not, okay, good. If you've not been to Stage, it's like not to be missed. It's just down the street here.
What time is it?
5 to 7, so you can drop in. And the food is unbelievable. We've ordered up some sushi and yes, of course.
Do I need to sign up?
Yes, tell me now. Okay, great, good. And the drinks are really good. I mean, it's gonna be, I'm excited about this one.
Sign me up.
I knew it's not ordering.
Parents in the house.
Finally, I'm only like once a week. Your annual or, I have my weekly margarita. Only one.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, talking about going out on the lake. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to do both. Oh my gosh.
Before we get started, I know I asked a few people already, like some things that you were looking for out of this class by the end, you know. Is there anything in particular, anything specific anybody was looking for, just so I have to be aware as we're going through the course?
Other than more listings?
Just more listings.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm brand new, but I'm new, very
information, so,
Okay.
yeah, anything.
Anything.
I think that is too much.
All right.
That's so funny. I asked if that's something that's like you and friend Renetta was on Zoom. She said it. Thank you, Renetta, from the sky. I mean, we are right by the- Oh, that's true. Yeah, we hear what it says, yeah.
They don't.
I see Joe's on the screen up there.
Joe. And Renetta, she just sent me the contact information for healing, which I was just talking to Janelle about.
Right, so, I'll go ahead and get started. So, yeah, I'm James Carswell, for those of you who may not know. I wanted to start off with a poem that I heard one time. Goes something like this. In my hands, football is worth maybe $10. In Tom Brady's hands, same football is worth millions. In my hands, basketball, if I try to sell it for $200, somebody might have that. But in Steph Curry's hands, that same basketball is worth millions. In my hands, a computer chip is worth maybe $500. Bill Gates' hands, the same computer chip is worth billions. And so I wanted to share that poem with you all today because it kind of relates to what I'll be talking about. How many of you have read the book Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich? Right. Let me ask you, what are some takeaways from that book? What's some things that you all may have picked up or learned from that book? Anybody want to share?
I read it a while ago, but something to talk about all the time is mindset. If you think it,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Anybody else want to share? What you may have gotten out of that book? Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich?
Napoleon Hills, can you say that again?
Yeah, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
I can tell you two ahas that I got out of it. Okay. So one thing, he talks about a lot of millionaires, billionaires, self-made millionaires, wealthy people. And he kind of looks at their life and kind of looks at some common themes, some common traits in their personality. And he talks about things like consistency, resilience, perseverance. So he talks about a lot of those things. So one thing I noticed is that, a lot of those things we already have within us. Like these are things that we already have within, so it's coming from within. And that's where a lot of it starts, from within, the confidence, it all comes from within. The second big aha for me was that he mentioned something about time, 24 hours. We all can agree, we got 24 hours in the day, right? Can we all agree that for the most part, not necessarily everybody, there's plus or minus a few things here, a few hours here or there. Out of that 24 hours, 8 hours we'll spend probably sleeping, right? We all pretty much
That'd be nice.
Right. Yes. And then can we also agree that for another 8 hours, for the most part, most of us might spend another 8 hours working, right? So that leaves, that's total 16 hours. That leaves us with another 8 hours of leisure time. So my question to you is what do you do with that 8 hours? How do you spend that 8 hours? Do you spend it with family? Are you traveling? Do you spend it learning? And going back to, the point when I talked about Tom Brady, the basketball, Steph Curry, you look at a lot of those top athletes and how they spend their leisure time, they're working on their craft, right? So they may be watching film. Even though you're not seeing them on the practice field, you might not see them on the court on game day, but behind the scenes, they're watching film, meeting with dietitians, getting massages, things to help them enhance their abilities. And for us, you know, it's the continuous learning, right? The classes, KW has Bold, Ignite, reading books, talking to people, networking. So there's a lot of things that we can do ourselves to help what we're doing, right? Which leads me into the next thing, you know, the continuous learning. Let me ask you all, like, what are some things that you all do when it comes to continuously learning, like developing your skills? What are some things that you all are doing?
Have a coach.
Have a coach. Okay, good, good. Okay. What else?
Bold.
Bold. All right, all right. Bold is a big one. Yeah, I've taken bold before. Yes.
Reading and tapes.
Reading and tapes. Perfect. Okay, I like that. Yes.
I mean, learning from people like you walk the walk, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, this is what I love about being at Williams.
Right. Yeah, I like it too. Yes. for sure.
The contribution back, you know, and yeah.
There's always something that we can find to do
Right.
every day,
Every day.
whether you do it from home or not, but there's always a class that we can sit in on, or we will learn something, whether you're new or been around for 20 years.
Mhm,
Exactly.
exactly.
I agree. I agree. I agree. Anybody else?
That's the reason why we have to be careful not to get caught up in vision on Netflix, right?
And that's okay.
In 2 hours watching Stranger Things.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's so easy to get
Or
caught up.
social media. too.
Cancel that subscription.
Forgot about
Got
that.
it, right.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up. Let me ask you this. As far as different avenues for learning, can we learn from our failures?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I can tell you this, like every day, you know, because just doing those calls every day, I can look at it as, you know, I'm failing, right? But I look at every situation as I'm learning from this situation. You know, so everything is a learning experience. I think there's one particular, actually, with one of my lead generations, right? So I call a lot of expires. And so I guess the question I would want to ask, well, let me paint the picture for you. All right, so let me paint the picture. And just recently, you know, this has started happening. So call the first person, you know, hey, this is James Carswell, KW, you know, I saw that you know, your house was on the market. I still have interest in selling. Click.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
all right, no problem, right? Go to the next. All right, go to the next. Hey, this, you know, James Carswell, KW, no shops was on the market. Hey, you still got any interest in selling? This person goes off, starts screaming and yelling, don't call me again. Click. Okay, all right. You know, somebody's having a bad day. So I get to the third person. This is 3 times in a row. Third person. Call them, talk to them, you know, do my intro. This person just starts lighting up the phone with all kind of obscenities, right? Click. Now, okay, now I gotta regroup. I gotta regroup. Now let me ask you. What's that?
Now you need somebody to help.
Exactly. Now-
Yeah, that's right. You need this
Yeah.
leverage.
Yeah, I might need to drink. Right? All right. So yeah, so like you know, this is early in the morning. I'm getting my day started. This is how we start, right? So my question to you is, if you're in that situation, what do you do? Oh, you call. Okay. Where do you find the courage? I mean, are you at this point, would you feel discouraged? Would you
Yeah.
feel-
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So feeling discouraged, where would you find the energy and the motivation to keep going? Where would it come from?
In a way, you know, you can't take it personally. They're strangers. You've got to keep going.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Can't take it personally. That's right.
It's very hard not to take it personally.
Yeah.
Even though they don't know who you are, it's really, you know, people that it doesn't bother, I wonder about.
Mhm.
Because again, they haven't even given you an opportunity to say what you wanted to tell them.
Right.
So again, but it's just very, it can be extremely frustrating as everybody knows.
Absolutely. Yeah, can't be. I can tell you one thing couple of things that help me, right, is when I get in situations like those, I might have to go back and start calling warm leads, like people who I've already had a relationship with, right? So I might go back to people in my database. There's a lead service that I'll share with you all towards the end. There's a lead service. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Do you leave a little bit of time for you to regroup before you call the warm leads? Because you don't want to be,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
furious or something like that, or feeling in a different way, and then calling somebody that may expect you to be really polite and all that, and all of a sudden you don't,
Right.
you know.
And that's a really good question. Yes, in some cases I do. In some cases, like in that particular instance, it was 3 in a row. I've had as much as like 5 or 6 in a row, where it was just back to back to back. And when it gets to that point, yes, I got to step away from the computer, look out the window, and start thinking about my why.
Generating a
Why
little
am I
positivity,
doing this? Yeah, it's been a few times. I'm making my calls and my sons walk by the room and they don't know that this is what I'm dealing with. I'm just smiling at them. Yeah, you're right. I got to think about my why.
And they turn around and say, oh, that is enjoying this.
Yeah. Yes, this is a great thing.
Maybe it's a good thing they aren't here.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is, calling FISBOs and withdrawing offers expired. They still own that house.
Right.
And if you can keep that in your head, and it's hard to do, but the fact is, you got a phone number, they own the house, and it hasn't sold yet.
That's right.
So, it's so hard to keep that
Right. Yeah.
there while you're dialing, because, again, you get a half a dozen hangouts, you really get a little frustrated, but if you can keep your eye on the ball and just keep dialing,
That's right.
you're gonna hit them.
Eventually. That's right.
Eventually.
Yeah. Yep. You see, for me, I just have to, and sometimes I have to pull on past experience, right? Because I know for the most part, to have 5 calls in a row where everybody is just being rude and disrespectful, it doesn't, on a normal day, it doesn't happen, right? For the most part, people are usually polite, or, they won't start screaming and fussing and start cussing me out, you know what I'm saying? They'll politely say, oh, well, I'm busy, I got something else to do, I want to take the call, right? But to have 5 in a row, it starts to get to you psychologically. So for me, one way I handled that was, I need to start calling warm leads. So sometimes at the beginning of my day, I'll start off with the warm leads, and that leads me into calling those that I do not know, just in case I run into that situation again, right? So, and like I said, I'll share with you some lead generating services that, I've been using to help build up my database, right? So I can tell you, like, majority of my business comes from my database. I'd say probably 80, maybe 85% comes from my database. And I was talking to someone earlier that mentioned working on building up their database. So these lead generating services kind of help me build that database. And then, I really have to stay in touch with these people, stay in touch with them. A lot of the people I've worked with over the years, long term, but the other 5 and 10% come from, or actually 15% come from these lead generating services, right? Yes.
Yeah, just like to share something. I was on the phone too, calling as well, and also getting the hang-ups and getting all the profanity and stuff like that. This one woman, she gave me some, the whole explicit standard. Boom, smack down the phone. So I was like, well, I'm done for the day.
Right. Yeah.
And somebody said, no, call that lady back. Call her back.
Ooh,
And I picked up
wow.
the phone and I called her back. What are you doing? And I was like, Mrs. Brown, the reason why I'm calling is not because, and I shouldn't have said this, but I say, it's not because I'm trying to be a pain in your butt, but I noticed your house was on the market since this particular period of time, the house itself. So I'm just trying to figure out if we can get together and find out, what happened. Well, I'm busy right now. You can't do this, you can't do that. but if you want to come over, you can come over tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So when she said that, I was like,
I'm
it
in
was amazing because I got the appointment. She was late coming home and the daughter was there, so the daughter let me in. And when she came about 15, 20 minutes late, she was like, Mr. Boyd, I just wanted to tell you, I'm so sorry.
So completely flipped it around.
First of you, I had 27 calls. You were like the 30th person who called me out. I was just so upset, you know, whatever, right? Make a long story short is I wind up not only getting a listing, but I also wind up selling her the next house that our family is moving into.
Wow.
So that taught me a huge lesson is, you know, don't take rejection personally. And even if you do get it, and sometimes, you know, like you said, just kind of have to muster up that courage. Because I didn't call her back.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that she wanted to refer me to somebody, refer me to somebody, wanted to refer me to somebody. And just from that relationship, I wound up having about 4 or 5 transactions.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Very nice.
Nice.
I don't know that I
Yeah,
did
that's
so.
really good.
Resilient.
And then, you know what, and that actually brings me to one of the points I was thinking about, you know, pretty much how you treat people, right? Like I had a guy, I sold this guy, this is back when the market crashed, 2008, 2009 or so. And he was coming through, he was a school teacher. He bought quite a few houses, right? Used my services, bought quite a few houses, him and his wife. And so a few years later, he and his wife gets a divorce. They were going through a divorce, all right? And she contacts me. She wants me to sell one of her properties that she bought under her name. You know, she wanted to sell one of them. And so I'm dealing with her to sell this unit. You know, we go through the whole process. I explain to her everything. We talk about the commission. She's fine with everything. Moves forward with the listing. I get it listed and we get it under contract. We're getting ready to go to closing. The day before closing, they send out the settlement statement. I send it to her. She reviews it. Everything looks good. All right, cool. We're going to closing. Great, you know, I'm getting excited. I get the money. I'm starting to think about what I'm gonna do with it. Yeah, and then that morning, the husband calls. He's like, Carswell, and the husband, you know, he's a very direct person. You know, we got all these different personalities.
Yeah.
He's a very direct person, so you get straight to the point. Carswell, you know, what's up with this commission, man? It's too high. You know, 6%, like this is the going rate. This is, when you go buy your properties, this is what, you know, the seller paid on the commission, right? Man, this is too much. I don't want all these properties from you, but, you know, just this, that, and the third. You know, this commission should be lower. Like, man, you know, I can't help you. You know, your wife, you know, she agreed. Going to closing. You know, hey, you know, what, I don't know what you're expecting me to do. I mean, you're getting over list price for it. You know, he was so upset. So, you know, make a long story short, in the conversation, he was like, man, you know what? Don't call us again. We're going to find another agent. Click. Oh, okay, here we go. So dealing with this, you know, fast forward about 5 years later, you know, I'm helping this buyer, you know, and he comes to me, you know, find him a house and keep this guy on the side for a second, right? So I help this buyer, help him find a house, and we're going through the whole process. And something happens with this financing, gets it under contract, something happens with this financing where he needs to terminate. And so I learned a very valuable lesson during this moment. This was very valuable. So we terminate the contract. We send over the TNR to the listing agent. His finance contingency expired in 21 days. He had 21 days to cancel that contract through the finance. We sent that termination over probably by day 15, right? We send it over day 15. I'm following up with the agent. Hey, we sent the TNR. What's going on? When can we get this TNR back? I never hear anything back from her. She reaches out day 22 of the finance contingency. Now she wants to come back, right? And I'm like, okay, she was like, well, yeah, okay, that's fine, you can terminate, but my seller wants the earnest money. I'm like, are you serious? Like, we sent this termination over day 15, and now you're coming back 6, 7 days later saying you all want the earnest money. And this guy put up like $2,500 earnest money, right?
So they never confirm receipt of what you sent them.
They never confirmed it, but I sent it to the email address that was on the contract, plus the email address that she's
Got a
already.
trail?
Yep, so I got the paper trail. And so, you know, she reached back out, like I said, day 22. And so she said, oh, but my seller wants this earnest money, $2,500 on the line. I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, I'm feeling confident at this moment. I'm like, I'm telling my guy, man, you know, you got this, don't worry about it. You know, we got it, right? And so, you know, we go all the way back and forth a little bit. I get, you know, Ruth involved. You know, Ruth looks at everything. Ruth broke it down to tough love. You know, she's saying, well, technically, the seller does get to keep the earnest money, right? Because when you send that termination over, on a finance contingency, there's a clause in there that says when you send that termination over, you have to also send, you have so much time to send the denial letter. And that's what I did not send. I didn't send that denial letter. And so now it was around Christmas time. And I'm like, oh, you know, okay, so, and this guy is like hitting me up like every other hour. Hey man, what's going on with this earnest money, you know? So I break down, I come out of my pocket, I give him the 2,500, you know? And so I'm like, okay, you know, I really didn't want to do it, but you know, it's my responsibility. I took ownership of it. And so I'm texting him like, okay, man, I'll meet you with this check. And he's just like, just put it in my mailbox, you know? I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can sell him something else, you know, maybe try to get my 2,500 back, you know? But yeah, this guy goes cold for a few months. You know, fast forward a few months later, the guy who was selling that, or where I was helping his wife sell, he calls me, hey man, I got a unit I want to sell. For some reason, you know, he remembers, you know, like the way you treat people. 5 years later, he's coming back, hey man, I got a unit I want to sell. I want you to sell it for me. Great, you know, yeah, hey, no problem. 6%.
6%.
And as a matter of fact, I'm send you the seller next sheet, make sure you understand, right? So he understood, he was cool with it. And then this guy who just lost his earnest, well, I reimbursed him his earnest money. He comes back to me around the same time. And I'm able to work that deal with no other agent on the deal. And then it worked out. I get my money back, right? So I'm just definitely excited. But you know, the moral of the story, a lot of times the way you treat people, you know, no matter how much time passes by, they're going to remember how you treat them. You know, they're going to remember that. So it's true. Yeah, absolutely. They're going to remember how you treat them. Any questions at this point?
No.
Good. So as far as lead sources, right? I know I mentioned to you, I would tell you about a few. So I have a couple of, I know somebody mentioned about realtor.com, telling me about realtor.com, right? So realtor.com also has a program called OPCI. And so I'm not sure, some of you may be familiar with it, right?
What is it?
It's called OPCI, OPCITY. And so the way they work is they'll send you the leads, like you don't pay anything up front. They'll send you these leads and you gotta jump on them quick because it's like first come, first serve, right? So you gotta really jump on those leads quick. They'll, you know, you download the app and once you see that lead come through, you gotta log into the app and really hit like accept, right? Really quick. And so, and the way they work is once you close that lead, you have to pay OPCI, like, I think it's 35%. So it's 35% of whatever that commission is. And so that's what you're paying. And OPCI is through Realtor.com. So I think Realtor.com also has a service similar to like maybe what Zillow does, where you can pay for bulk leads and they'll send you a bunch of leads. Opposite. Yeah.
So how do they regulate how many you get? Is it based on what you close?
So you know what? It's a good question. So as far as how many you get, I believe just talking with the reps and, you know, dealing with it for a good bit is how quick you respond to those leads. And then they also have a portal where you have to update on each lead. They want you to update like so many times.
Call report.
Right, yeah. So when they connect you with that lead, they actually, that call is being monitored. So they know like how long you've been on the call. They probably have it recorded where they can listen.
Really?
Yeah, it's possible, yeah.
Huh.
So, because they're gonna connect you directly to that lead. It's like a warm lead. So they're gonna connect you directly to the lead.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
What's your success ratio?
So like this is probably like between like our city and this other one I'll tell you about, they'll make up maybe 10–15% of my business. You know, 10–15. So I would say in a year, out of these leads,
How many of those opportunities you can close? Let's say they give you 10. Out of
10.
those 10, how many you close?
you know what, out of 10, I would say it probably needs to be a little higher, maybe around 20–25. So out of about 20–25, maybe 1 to 2. 1 to 2.
Yeah, it's the lead game is really, the paid leads is really a sort of a scam in a lot of ways. And a lot of these companies work in 1,000 different ways. They give the lead to 10 people, whoever gets it on the horn first, In a past life, mine was 1 out of 135.
Wow.
Okay.
And they were $35 a piece on the low end.
Wow.
And the time frame was 6 months to 18 months.
That's a good one too. Look up at the time frame of some of these things. Yeah, you're right. Because like some of them, like I'd say the longest time it took me with some of these leads is probably about a year. So like with some of the lead services, once they send it to you, they'll say, okay, if you close this person within 2 years, you still own. But if after 2 years, you don't own anything, right? So I actually had one, she bought a house for like around $450 or so. So we got her under contract, maybe about a year and a half later. She goes under contract with the new build. The builder's working on it, they stall, don't get it completed within the time frame. And we find her something else right after that 2 years expired. So I was kind of fortunate on that, But so she was the longest. 2 years, took me 2 years to actually get her closed, but there's been some where I've been able to make those work within a 30 to 45 day time frame. So I just closed one.
Question, James, can I jump in? So with Op City, if you're the first one that grabs it, that stays exclusive to you. It doesn't go to anybody else, right?
Good point. Yes, that's right. With Op City, that's absolutely correct. That's right. It stays exclusive to you. That's right. Unless you release that lead and put it back in the portal, and then they'll probably send it back out to everybody else. That's right. So Op City was one. Other ones.
So with Op City, can you pick an area that you're focusing on to do that?
You can. You pick the area, you pick the price range. If you're going to go on vacation or it's a holiday, you're not working that day, they want you to put in the portal that you're taking off. So, because if they send you the lead, it will count against you if you don't pick it up in so much time. It will count against you. And then, however that system works, they'll start slowing down the leads coming to you.
How quickly do you have to respond?
They don't say, but yeah, they don't say, but I can tell you, like, as soon as they send it to me, I'm trying to jump on within a minute. So like, and like some of these lead generation people, they actually call me and say, hey, we like how fast you jump on these leads, because as soon as they send it to me, I'm like jumping on it, so.
I was just gonna say, once you accept the lead, obviously the college.
Oh,
Now, let's just say you're not by the phone or something, and you see that there's one there, it's still there, because normally when you touch it, somebody's taking it by that time. Oh, this one's going to somebody else. Oh, so it's a direct connection. Once you get, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing I was gonna say is that the fortune is in the bottle.
That's right.
Because a lot of little leagues you get, those folks are not ready now. They might not wait for 6 months or a year. And I received a lead from this lady in Snellville, and she wasn't ready. 2 years down the road, she actually called me back. And I still had her in my thing. I was still kind of reaching out to her. And she said she was ready to sell because she was getting engaged. And then I lined up listing her property. Got the property sold to open door, those quick cash deals, and they wanted to buy another house in Grayson. So that was like sale and purchase.
Right, yeah, that's right. The follow-up is important. 'Cause a lot of times you won't get them within that first phone call. Yeah, follow-up is important. So
Put them on a plan, like a smart plan of some sort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for me, yes, like my database, I probably got like right now, it's probably somewhere around 2,500 people in there, and I got them all in that smart plan deal, all of them, right? And out of that 2,500, probably, I would say over 1,000 or maybe 1,500 have come from like Op City and this other company I'll tell you about. Because like I said, all of them, when I call them, talk to them, I put them in. If they're not ready to move within 30 days, then I put them on that drip campaign, that smart plan campaign, for sure, absolutely. Like I said, my database is around 2,500 now. Over 1,000 has come from these here, you know. And like I said, the other one is Home Light. You know, and what I like about Op City and Home Light is you don't have to pay for these leads up front. It's paid when you close. So when you close, that's when you pay for these leads.
I thought Home Light did have a pay upfront. It's not, they came to Bold and spoke, and I thought they did have an upfront charge.
You know, they might.
Maybe different plans.
Yeah, they probably have different plans, yeah. So the one that I'm under, it's a 25%. So they take 25% of your commission whenever you close. There's no, like I said, there's no time for, well, you got 2 years once they send you the lead. You got 2 years. Now the thing with the Home Light leads is that those leads are going out to more than one agent. So, you know, they'll probably send you the link or whatever you call that lead, and they may say, oh, you know, I just spoke with somebody in your office. You know, a lot of times it could be another Keller Williams agent. I just spoke with somebody in your office or whatever, you know. Now the other thing with Home Light, which I like, is they also have something where it's a warm lead transfer. So they'll send you a link, and they'll say, hey, we got a seller on the line, or we got a buyer on the line that's looking to sell or buy in this area. Are you available to talk to them? If you say yes, or you click the link, you can call in, they'll give you the specific PIN number, and they'll connect you directly to that person live. And usually those leads, I find, you're not competing with any other agent. These are exclusively being sent to you, and you can work with these people exclusively. So
James, how often does that happen?
oh yeah, so Home Light has probably sent me the most out of all of them. Home Light sent me the most. So Home Light would, I would say a month. Home Light probably sends me probably somewhere between 20 to 40 leads. And a lot depends on, like I say, how fast you respond. So when you first initially get into, you know, if you sign up with one of these companies, depending on how fast you respond, that's how they determine respond and then update their portal, right? That's how they determine how many more leads they're going to keep sending. Like if you don't respond quickly, slowly, it's going to start to decline. But if you respond fast, they start sending you more leads. And then as you start closing them, you know, just sending them their money, they're going to be happy. They're going to keep sending them, right? So, but yeah, but like I said, you can go through a good bit of these leads, though. Because like I said, they'll send them to you. Some of them are good. Some of them are not so good, you know, so it's up to you how you handle them when they come in. Like I said, if they're not ready to buy within that 30-day time frame, then for me, I put them on that drip campaign. And then also in the portal, they got a portal where, you know, they tell you, you hadn't talked to this person in so much time. You know, I'll go back through and I'll call some of those leads too. So I've been able to convert some of those who haven't bought or who said they were gonna buy a year ago. I'm calling them a year
Checking
later.
in.
That's right, checking in. And I'll get some that say, oh, hey, well, I'm ready now, you know, let's move forward, you know. So home, OpCity was one, Home Light is one. I know some of you may be aware, I know I talked, some of you are aware of like Vulcan 7, you know, the expired listings where they do they give you the expired listings for sale by owners, for rent by owners. So I do subscribe to Vulcan 7, you know, and that's where the Vulcan 7 was the program I was using where I got hung up on like 5 times in a row. But I mean, it helps me build my database. You know, it helps me build up the database. I've been able to get a few leads from them. The longest stretch I went on Vulcan 7 where I wasn't able to really connect with anyone. And I would say consistency here is going to be key, right? Consistency is key. So the longest stretch I went, it's probably been like 6 months. It happened this year, right? So I was, and you know, I was aware of the market conditions. So but I'm still calling expireds. And so I'm still calling the expireds. I'm not able to, you know, it's tough to get appointments. I'm getting hung up on. Of course, you know, I'm relying on my database. So I'm going to the database things. But Vulcan 7 is one. RedX is another one. You know.
So James, your daily schedule, do you have a block set up for your phone calls, a block for, you got your day scheduled every day before it happens?
Absolutely.
You stick to it?
Stick to it. So,
Wow.
so for me, I start my day early. You know, I get my workout in. I do all my working out, meditation, praying, all of that. Eating is done before 8 o'clock. So I get all of that in before 8, because at 8 o'clock I'm going to start with my phone calls, my emails, but all of the, you know, my preparation is before 8 o'clock. You know, so I do all of that before 8. And then when 8 o'clock hits, I'm usually starting off, because you know, a lot of times I gotta build up my confidence in it as well, you know. So I'm doing the emails first, you know, because that's a little bit easier. I don't have to worry about anybody coming back at me. And then the follow-up calls. I'll just do my follow-up calls. Somebody, you know, if I know that somebody told me, hey, check back with me in a week, I use Outlook. And that's where I got my task list all in Outlook. So I just got it all itemized out in Outlook. Call this person here, you know. So I'm making my follow-up calls between like 8 and 9. And then by 9 o'clock, I'm usually getting into calling the expireds for sale by owners, for rent by owners. Depending on how those go, I need to stop and start calling some warm leads. I hope to call some of these Home Light leads. But after I call the expireds for rent by owners, Home Light leads, I'll go into calling people in my database. You know, I'll try to call 10, 15 people from my database. And like, really, it's the clients, people who actually already bought from me, people who already bought, sold, maybe sent me referrals, you know, because to me, those are the ones who are more likely to come back and use my services again. So I'll probably maybe in that category, I probably have about 420 people that have actually bought, sold, or sent me some referrals. And I got them categorized as clients, right? So there's probably about 400, a little over 400 some people in that category. So and for me to get through that whole, you know, 400 so people, if I just call maybe 10, 15 a day, I can get through everybody within 3 to 4 months.
Do you do like a DTD2 or anything like that to keep it organized and keep it?
I'm sorry, explain that.
DTD2,
bold.
do the database too. It's a big bold thing where
Yeah.
and they talk about it in here too.
Yep,
where
yep.
Different letters and each week so you keep it organized and
Yep, so yep, what I do is very simple.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yep. Very simple. So yes, and to me it works.
I've been resisting it, but I know I need to do
Yeah,
it.
it's hard to do.
It is, I don't know why, but it is.
It's hard to stick to it, just
Yeah.
because other things happen. It's just really difficult to stick to that. You know, that schedule, that stuff.
And I can tell you, there's a guy, I just talked to him last week, you know? It's been about a year since I talked to him, but he was, again, in my client, because he bought 2 houses from me. It had been about a year since I talked to him. I called him up, and he's in Minnesota now, and he's ready to sell his house here. He still has his house here. He's ready to sell it, you know? So he told me to get back in touch with him on Monday, so we can start working on getting that listed. You know, it's gonna be one coming up in Stone Mountain for around 300, you know, so.
I got a lot for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, yes.
Do you get mostly buyer leads from these sources or is it like?
It's a good mix. So, in the beginning, Home Life was sending me a lot of buyer leads. But now they're starting to send me more seller leads. And I got an idea, I think like Home Life, City, they probably watch and see how you're doing with everything, as far as the market. You know, if you're mostly working with sellers, mostly working with buyers. Because like in the past, Home Life was, they would send me a lot of buyer leads. And that's what I was working a lot of until like this year. Like this year is the most seller leads I've received from them. You know, and I think it's probably because I've been doing a lot of listings. And a lot of the listings I've received in the beginning were from my database. So, yeah.
They keep track of your ranking too, like with City, right?
Mhm.
They show you like your number 203 out of 9,000.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
They know.
Yeah, they know. They keep track. Yep, your closings, your contact with the people, because they want you to stay in contact with them and they want to be updated. You know, so, and that could be a challenge in itself, because we all, you know, as agents, we got so much other stuff to do. But you know, they want us to use their portals to keep updated, you know, so it can be a little challenging, but if you kind of work through it and find time to do it, you know, it
Do they
helps.
send reminders for the,
So if they send you a lead, like, I know City doesn't really do that, reminders. Like if they initially send you a lead, it's either you accept it or you don't, because if you don't, within a certain amount of time, it kind of goes away. But Home Life, they will send you a reminder saying, hey, we sent you this referral. Your referral is getting cold. You know, reach out to them within 30, you know, we usually want you to reach out to them in like 30 minutes, you know. So, but usually before they send me that, I've already clicked on it, trying to accept it, and call, you know, and then see if they're ready to move forward, do something. If not, put them on that drip campaign, you know, or just maybe follow up with them in a certain amount of time.
James, are you doing any direct mail? It's hard to get the farming.
I have not done direct mail lately, but I am planning on doing the thank you notes, you know, to the clientele. Yep. I used to send out postcards with, you know, information about the market, things like that, but I haven't done it lately. So, a couple of other, I think I did RedX, Focus 7, Home Light, City, Realtor.com. I'm sorry.
Land Voice.
I haven't, you know what, I didn't know about Land Voice.
So Land Voice is very similar to RedX.
Okay.
Where you can sign up and do the same thing too. So they have like different packages. You can get the, you know, like the full.
That's what I'm thinking of, Land Voice. I was confused on the name. Land Voice.
So Land Voice.
Probably costs about the same as RedX.
Okay.
And I think like one has some features that the other one does not have. So like it's just
So let me ask you this, like as far as the accuracy, because I noticed like with RedX and Focus 7, to me, it seems like Focus 7, the accuracy of the leads, you get, you know, as far as the contact information you get, right, a little bit more accurate in Focus 7, it seems like.
gotcha.
And what about,
So with Land Voice, I found that it's fairly accurate, but in many cases, you call somebody, you'll actually call them a listing agent, because the agent has their name as the seller, or somehow or another, I want to call them you, and I think call them Mr. Smith.
okay, yeah, okay. I didn't know about Land Voice, check it out.
That's the one I talked about at home. That's, I got the names.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, and then the last one I was gonna mention to you all, there was a company, and I tried them a while back, and They kept calling me, you know, I never really signed back up with them. But this is a company where you have to pay in advance for the leads. It's called Kazoo. I don't know if y'all heard of them, you know, but I did sign up with them one time. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't too impressed. It didn't work out well with me, but they do send you these leads. These are people you can add to your database. And I think with me, it seemed like a lot of the leads just weren't ready to jump right in, you know? So, and I was getting better leads from home, like, but I mean, Kazoo is you get to pick whether you want seller leads or whether you want buyer leads. And I think one good feature about Kazoo is if the lead doesn't work out, they'll give you like 30 leads with a certain amount of purchase. You purchase a certain amount of leads, right? It might be 30, it might be 60, whatever that number is. But with Kazoo, if the lead doesn't work out, you can return it, and they'll give you credit to your account, and you can still keep, you know, pulling leads from that site, you know. So I thought that was a good one, you know, especially if you're getting started and you're trying to build that database, because it might be one that you check into and just maybe buy a few of those leads, you know.
James, it's a little hard to hear on this big speaker, but could you spell that? Is that kazoo like you blow, or what is that? How do you spell that?
Yeah, Kazoo is Q
A
A
Z Z O
Z Z O.
O.
Oh, right. Yeah, Kazoo.
Hey, James, so
I would have never
I've
spelled
been
it that way.
spending some money on Facebook ads.
Mhm.
And you can, depending on what kind of ad you run, we're able to run through command, and we can also run directly through Facebook. The difference between the two ads, it's sort of interesting. I don't know why it is this case. When you run an ad through directly through Facebook, you're able to add a question, a qualifying question, that you know the lead is not some kind of mechanical bot
Like a-
deal. Okay, so you can add just a question like, do you prefer a ranch house or multi-level, or just a very simple question that's not too obvious. And so when you get those leads back, it shows that they did respond. You know, they are responding, a real person. Command doesn't offer that function. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why they would. I mean, it's a qualifier. But the reason I bring up Facebook is you can generate, if you want to put names in your database, it's not expensive to generate, you know, 50, 60, I mean, depending on how many leads you want to put in there. It's not that expensive. All ads perform differently, obviously, with what the proposition is. But it's a cheap way to generate some leads. With the qualifier question, when I call them back, I've got some information from them. I can start the conversation with, hey, Mr. Smith, I understand you're looking for a ranch in that county. So it's just a qualifier. As I said, it's the same basic program, the command or Facebook, but Facebook Direct. We're in trouble here, but Facebook Direct allows you to ask that qualifier question.
Okay. So it was Facebook, Facebook. Okay. Anybody else have any lead generating ideas or sources?
I have some questions, Matt. So,
Oh, sure.
yeah, on that dialing, so when you're dialing all the expires and all the leads and everything, do you use any dialer system you can dial? And if they don't answer, what's your voicemail and callback system?
Got it. Oh, good question.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I do use the auto dialers. Like before I really got comfortable with the Vulcan 7 and Red X, I was hand down. I wasn't. It was a little monotonous. It got a little tiresome. But and I was being cheap. I didn't want to spend the money on the dialer. But to me, the dialer is worth it, right? I ended up getting the dialer. It was worth it. And so like Red X has the triple dialer where you can dial 3 leads at one time. The first one that picks up, you can start talking to them, they'll patch you through live with them, right? And then if for some reason, one of the leads, like 2 leads pick up at the same time, you know, they'll put that second lead to your voicemail, or there may be a message that you can leave saying you'll call them back, you know, bad connection, whatever. But yeah, so Red-X, I do the triple dialer. You know, when I kind of back away from Red-X and been using Vulcan 7 lately. So Vulcan 7, I do use the auto dialer there. Yeah. And as far as the voicemail, I'll just leave it as, you know, hi, this is, you know, my name is James, I'm Keller Williams. I noticed you had a house that was listed for sale that expired, or, you know, you're for sale by owner, you know, whatever the case may be. If you're still interested in selling it, or if you have some interest in working with an agent, please give me a call and I'll leave my number, you know. So it's been working out. I do get quite a few callbacks just by leaving that voicemail.
Telemarketing centers will never leave a voicemail.
Yeah.
They'll hang up and go to the next one. It's just, that's wasted. They consider that, and I agree with you. But real telemarketing centers, you know, where they're lined up like this classroom, and they're dialing for dollars, they don't get a voicemail. Next one. No message.
Yeah, that's true. Now I can tell you, Red-X has it in their system where you already got a pre-recorded voicemail that when the voicemail picks up, you just click a button and it leaves the message for you. So that's one cool feature about Red-X that I liked. With Vulcan 7, you don't have that feature. You got to actually leave that voicemail. So to get it right, it does take some time to leave it. But I do get some callbacks by leaving the voicemail. And the callbacks have led to a few listings here and there. So
Do you have scripts that you have at the ready for things like that? Or have you just done it so long that you?
Yeah, at this point, yeah, it's been done so long, but yes, I do, like in the beginning, I started off like looking at all kind of different scripts. So like, I used to do this, where there was some other agents here that did listening classes. I came and I got scripts from them. Reds had some scripts online that I was able to look and study and kind of research. Vulcan 7 had a few that I just kind of started pulling scripts from everywhere. And then there were even some YouTube channels that I looked into, and I was watching them actually do the actual expired calls. And so I was just kind of incorporating all of this into what worked for me.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do, I don't know if this is right or wrong or good or bad, is I just leave topics on my notes. So I'm calling you, I have topics to talk
Kind of
about.
keeps
I have
you in
3 or
line.
4.
Yeah.
Rather than script, because then you read it. So you just, oh, you know, how's the market in your neighborhood? Are there many homes? So whatever it is, the topics you can go to in any way you'd like to approach it, and it's not script. You're winging
It's
it.
a
It's just-
reminder more
Yeah, I
than
want to
anything
talk about
else.
these 2 things. It works for
Yeah, and I can tell you for
I like
me,
that.
when I initiate the call, it's always, do you still have interest? You know, it's not really, do you still want to sell it, or, you know, let's meet, you know, it's just, do you have some interest? You know, and if the interest is there, you know, we can take it to the next step.
I think it's so important too, is they can feel your energy on the phone. So if you're like, oh, you know,
That's right.
very, very enthusiastic, upbeat, you'll have a tendency to keep people on the phone. And even times I leave messages very, very enthusiastic. And more often than not, people will call me back versus, yeah, this is just hard. You call back, I appreciate it.
That's right. That's right.
Do you have to worry about the do not call registry?
Yes, I have to worry about it. And I can tell you, that's always in my mind.
Yeah.
When I'm making those calls, you know, not wanting anybody to break the law.
But now, if that's a lead,
Is
They-
it a
they-
service
that's
describe, they don't
different. I'm
describe?
like,
How do you
call it
know?
like expired or
Is there a
something.
website or something that you can go and check the number
On the
for?
service,
Well,
it'll
if
say
it-
next
if it
to
was
numbers,
expired, that was public
like
knowledge.
beach Red-X and stuff.
Well, see,
Oh, but if
Well,
you
they
gotta
can
use
still
that.
be on.
well, see,
Well, it could be-
There's a website.
yeah,
There is.
I'm not talking about
but
leading
like
from a
beach
system,
Red-X
no, because they've
and
asked
right. So like in Vulcan 7, and I think Red-X, I think they tell you
Yeah.
if the number's on it, do not call.
Okay.
So,
They script them, they do.
yeah,
Should
that's
describe
right.
Right, yeah, that's.
If they're giving you a lead,
I
they
was thinking
should.
about the cold call.
Yeah, they do scrub it, you know, and so anytime I get one of those do not call numbers, I do approach it very cautiously, you know, so, yeah.
How many people get called on this? I really, in training, they really, drilled that home where you better watch what you're doing, but I never hear about anybody getting.
Right.
I haven't either, but.
Right.
It's expensive if you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Expensive if you do, so.
They don't want to,
Yeah, we gotta be careful. You know.
Yeah, okay.
People have those like.
Most of the times you're dealing with someone who's got multiple calls, like you're the 30th person to call me. And because you're number 30, you're the one that they're gonna get. You know, most people now, they shy away from it, do not call, so they don't get those calls. So if you happen to call somebody.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Anybody got anything they want to add? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How far do you go as far as your, when you get these leads, is it 10 miles out, 25, or do you just go where they are? I mean, or do you keep it in a certain radius of your home?
So that's a good question. So like with home light, I think I get to put in zip codes with home light. So I just put in all the zip codes. Like I got all the zip codes in the cab, Fulton, and there, so with Rockdale, I just plug in all the zip codes I'm really willing to work in. As far as Op City, I think you do a radius with them. So it might be, they'll give you a central location. You just put where you want 5, 10, 20 miles out, something like that. So, yeah, I think, like for me, I just pretty much, my areas is Cab, Fulton, Gwinnett, Rockdale, Henry, just right around this area. I appreciate everyone.
Thank you.
If y'all have any questions, just give me a call. I can give you the direct number. It's 678. Yeah, 678. 480. 7409. That's my cell. So if you got any questions, yeah, 7409. Yeah, if you got any questions,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
James.
So I'll be just going out later today. I can tell them, so keep me posted on that one. You are
I
gonna
will.
yeah, it's right there on Elam Road.
Good stuff.
Right there on Elam Road.
Elam Road?
Elam, A-M down there. What?
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, sure.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Appreciate that. It was fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Everything helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there, Wayne, Black Boy.
Right on.
I know they advertised some packages that they had with the expires and dispos. And I can't remember all the details about it. And when they
Brother.
bold,
Hey,
they
so,
were offering
did you
it like
get the,
discount price.
okay, so
you
let me
would
tell
see
you.
them there.
So.
They give me
I've got
information. They give me basically a list of all these things.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not the warm. I don't think it's the warm leads like with the others. But I like the one brings in up to 25%. Yeah, it's a warm lead because again, technically, it's a lot of work get from an agent from somewhere, so and if you don't make money, you'll make money. If you're making money, you're gonna give them some of it, right? That's my thing about being on the team. I'm like, they're doing some things. They don't get paid if I don't get paid, but obviously they not get paid. No. Yeah, there's that part. Not your detail. Thank you.
It's easy, it's not sideways.
But now I upload it, right? So the guy I was and then go to photos. See? It doesn't show up.
She went to that, she was headed to that, yeah.
And this is another video.
Is this for us? Yes. Facebook video. Just kind of. You're looking to make a post. Well, I don't do, out of the areas, which is your.
It's 1 minute and 38 seconds. So that's 60 plus.
So I think you're in there.
Oh, so going that's right. I'm going, you know what, I lost this. So anyway, so.
This should start like they
Yeah, it doesn't go up on that. So videos not, it's only photos.
Oh, yeah. There it is. All the houses. All the houses, every single house around us is there. Over the last 7 years ago, it seemed like it. And
Coming over here. We get you some. Yeah. Always.
So I.
My wife and mom were nice. Oh, right. Good. Yeah. Like it was with the kids. Sleep. I knew him outside.
Somebody's already. But no, so we've got.
Stop.
And I said, this is the old other way.
Just
Specific.
So relax. So
Yeah, well, it's an extra. I just don't know. If she's actually.
Nobody wants to work for it.
Yes.
So what is
I want the best thing to do.
I don't.
Everybody wants to know. Yes.
I don't know. Yeah. This switch is.
Yes, the unicorn. I gotta buy her this little unicorn too. I'm like, okay. I'll keep looking. I'll keep looking.
Great.
It's good to know we're not alone on that though. They do. I mean, why not ask for everything? Why not? They know, right?
Yeah, I got one. There's a residential ag and she wants Mapleton. So if I find that, I buy it. If I find that out.
Like Mike says, if you want to buy it, you drive up and think, should I buy this?
No, like I said, you guys have one in your class.
This is great. Thank you, James. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I actually converted that into my business page, but I need to start growing for both, like have a personal and business, like through the Facebook, so that's what I'm transitioning on.
I need a technician to
Yeah,
send it up.
definitely, most definitely, yeah, but that'll be, it'll be just, to do it just when you figure out the accounts.
Right, that's what I'm gonna
Maybe if the video was a little shorter,
Yes.
go on Facebook, on that, and upload.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
videos are just not happening.
It's not pulling up.
Yeah, but just try to just take that 5-second, long shot. Or something random, just so video will pop up.
Yes.
And then you can actually take a shorter one to see like, what is the issue? Yeah, no problem, no problem. Let me know if you can ask. It's just that, it's so much.
You're playing.
Oh, yeah.
Killing it, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's, I know it hurts all night.
Yeah, I know. You're like accountability, accountability. I love it. I love it.
But Jamie, I have a tip for the budget, right? And it's all like the classes are great, being in the classes
Yeah.
all the time, so you get all the tips, but it's all on the connections and the people. Like he was telling stories how his little sculptures closing. I hate this, I have some supposed to do is all. One of them started explaining the check bounced back from the buyer, turned it in. It's just all fake. And so, no, I will be on time.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then, the other one is a late situation, but back down, the dog permitting and all these things. We're the battle in that British tax. But now,
Oh, how
two
fun.
closes off from my goals and all these things, but it's all like, how can I?
No, you'll get it. You'll get it. Oh, please, you'll get it.
Then,
Yeah. Now I see what you're saying. You're too off. You're like, I know this is my plan.
I was like, how do I replace those? They're not buying no more. Those closings, they're not gonna happen. And what I was learning was, as I was. I got one deal, and focused and build close, then I realized when deals fall through and everything.
You have to have the pipeline.
I have 5 to 10 actively looking. And then if I don't have 5 to 10 or 15 looking or inquiring about the next 90 days, that is what I'm trying to focus on. Finding those 10, finding those 15. If I could answer that question, everything else aligns. All money, all goes there, except for one thing. Just get those 5 to 10 actively looking in the next 60 nights. That's it. That's all you need to concentrate.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's awesome.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you for hearing me out though.
Of course.
This one, I think it was red store. Red store. Yeah, there's a red store. Yeah. You can feel it. Yeah, it's a Nike sponsor. Yeah. It's Nike. It's good material too. Like they should be around and like active.
Sounds good, man.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Good to see you.
Always call me or text me anytime.
Absolutely, thank you.
Have a great day.
All right. That was good. Good to see you, honey.
Good to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was fun. It was really fun. Yeah, yeah. So I texted my friend a couple things and sent her some cool videos. It's like a great event.
You provided food and drinks for the community.
Yeah, my team did. in Kansas City, yeah, and so I texted for the search, and I said, yeah, I said, hopefully it'll yield some results, so you didn't just pay for a party for me and my friends. It was fantastic, it was fantastic, it was fantastic, it was fantastic.
You know, it's,
I haven't even put my own post up because my friends posted about it, so they just tagged me on, so I actually haven't even gathered my thoughts of what I wanna say about it yet.
Mention that, the
Yeah, the banner.
yeah, all those things count.
And then all the, kind of approach, like, so my friends posted, and they posted pictures, and,
I saw.
and then, yeah, and then I'll answer comments and get back to them, and so, yeah, so I actually need to gather my thoughts and think about what I'm gonna post on about it.
That's it, part that sometimes you like it, because you don't want to.
Okay, I'm very quick.
You don't want to sound like you want to strong.
No, I basically just wanna, thank you to everyone who came out, thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, that kind of thing, just to
Oh,
thank
okay.
everybody, no, that's all I really wanna do. And then, I'm gonna follow up with everybody with handwritten notes, so thank you. So, I also have a little gift card giveaway, which is one of the reasons my friends posted those pictures and stuff, because they got an entry. If they like my professional page, and they get an entry, if they post a picture with me and tag me in it. So I've got 2 gift cards that I need to, we need to gather all the entries and
Entries,
the
put
drawing.
it together and do it.
Probably do that kind of video on that.
Yeah, that would be.
Will not love, but I'll do it anyway.
Yeah, I'm the same way, I'm
Like,
like.
oh my gosh, don't listen to me. I like to hear myself talk.
No, but you're gonna be great, but that's a really good thing that you can do that, like record.
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I'm gonna videotape it, post it on my page.
Like, stuff like that.
Say, hey, is everyone coming down into the contest?
Yeah.
So, my daughter yesterday, I was telling her about the contest, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna enter. I'm gonna enter, I'm like, sweetie, I don't think, she's like, I need $100 in the gift card. I said, sweetie, I don't think you're eligible. Yeah, you're like, serious, the winner, I'm like, wait, that sounds like home cooking, I don't think that's gonna work very well. I'm glad you gave out your class, I'm so glad you gave out your.
Yeah, I just started seeing some results out of it.
Oh,
Yeah, so.
so you guys just kind of bypass the HOA, so you didn't leave them, you just.
I went straight to their homes, knocked the door, just give it to them.
Not 2000. No, I just came back from England. I was in California, but here
You didn't do
in
anything.
Georgia.
No.
it's
There are people
September
that
of
told me
2013.
I'm from X country, I'm from X religion.
Oh, I love it.
So what, you live here, and this doesn't have anything to do with religion. I don't understand.
Yeah, oh, really? Oh, my gosh, how lovely. Oh, how wonderful. Oh, yeah, no, I love.
Hey, you say auto
No, I used to live in Chelsea, work in Kensington. Oh, my real estate office was opposite Kensington Palace.
But I'm at value.
So it was fun. I used to just work in a very small area. But, all over Athens. Yeah, because you get salary. It's different.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, so you can really, there I was full time. Yeah,
Thank you.
base salary commission.
All the time.
And they gave me the savings. Yeah. That's, well, that's.
Oh, you a Scorpio constantly.
That's so, I don't know that I have a to say that, that is awesome you said that, you are so right.
Condo.
You're so right.
And when I got to the same day, few minutes later.
Oh, 1998. It would be 19, or nearly.
So careful about
200. Right, Kensington Palace. And it was 2,000 square feet.
Makes me the.
And it was an Indian Oh,
Remember
those
that you
kids' houses.
remember that you
Yes,
that-
it was perfect.
But
That was these
I never
were
did
better.
that.
It was, anyway, I sold 2 of those for me.
But why did they
6
reject it? when You were saying.
5
it was
stories,
fine?
elevators, swimming pool.
That's what I was thinking. That was more like a commercial space.
It wasn't.
So I told them that was flat.
Yeah.
And then they thought.
They thought the
Oh,
HOA.
excellent.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, but your thing wasn't commercial. It was
No.
perfect.
At the end, it wasn't commercial.
was
at all.
commercial.
It was true.
Yeah, yeah.
But I missed. Not sustainable.
Got it. That makes more sense.
That tag.
That makes more sense. Because I couldn't believe they rejected it.
That tag was supposed to be with it.
I can believe they rejected the tag. 'Cause it was so nice.
That's right.
You did.
That's why you guys rejected some of the English. Because I had all this issue about it.
So we can't stay here.
I am so glad you did because you're absolutely right. We get
And your wife's here to say she likes it.
like,
Excuse me, I don't understand. Now I'm lost. You're okay with me reading 10 of yours, but you don't want to read one of mine.
Oh my God.
yeah.
And then she said, yeah. Way, way on the. Way above it. Oh, thank you so much. Have a great day.
And you check that house off your list. You just check that house off your list.
Old enough for a daughter to be married.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, some of them are just not unhappy. You know, I think that's a bigger issue. They're just unhappy. I know, but you know, I have a neighbor like that too, and so when I was doing my little Popeyes that I left at everybody's door, this lady's just so mean. I remember one time, she's good.
Anyway.
Seen like near, like a ball rolling into her driveway.
Yeah.
And one time I was out with my dogs, and my dog was fussy, my dog's almost 14 now. And we were just walking down the street, and my dog was just like kind of bouncing, her grass was really thick, and my dog was just kind of bouncing on the grass. And I thought it was just so cute, she comes up, just, that is so disrespectful.
For real?
Yeah, that my puppy at the time was bouncing, just she wasn't pooping, she wasn't peeing, she was literally just like the feeling of the grass. And I was trying to tell her, she just likes the feeling of your grass. And I was like,
Just like
she
you
got
said,
scratched.
some people.
She just got, she's just an angry lady.
Some
She's
people
an
just.
angry
'cause I
lady.
think my neighbor, the one that lives right next
Mhm.
door. He's a religious person as well.
Yeah, no problem.
No.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Like out, he was happy for me, he was happy for.
Yes, no problem.
I think you're right, it's not about
She's just-
their
she's
views,
just-
it's just about an average.
Which is so sad because she's using her religion as an excuse when she's really just a miserable person.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you what happened to me. So I had my party scheduled, right? I've had it scheduled for a long time. I didn't invite my neighborhood to this. This was really more for my friends.
Mhm.
Or people in my neighborhood that I'm already friends with that I know. So it was exclusive invitations. They were sent out through Eventbrite. I sent them, through my database. I basically have my database ranked as 1s, 2s, 3s, and 3s being the 1s and 2s are the higher quality, right? At least in terms of people that I know better, or they're more likely to use me, that kind of thing. So the 1s, 100% for sure. Throw those out there. Then the 2s are a bigger group, but okay, let's throw those out there too, because when you're putting the party together, your yield is usually, your besties are gonna show up, but then it dwindles after that,
Yeah.
right? And I wanted about 50 people there. So we sent it out, but we sent it out email, and then I followed up with text and that kind of thing. So it was a personal invitation.
Yeah.
So I've had a plan for a month now that we send the invitations out. Sunday, I have a couple invitation that lives down the street from me. She just moved into the neighborhood. We've lived in our neighborhood almost 20 years. She just moved in the neighborhood this year.
I'm down to know.
So she's already sent a golden letter to our homeowners association Facebook page. Nobody responded to it. So basically says, oh, I have a family that's looking for, this X dollar to this dollar, this number of bedrooms, this da 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 da. Yeah, and she's like, well, I have a family, blah, blah, blah. And I showed it to my friend. She's like, that's a golden letter. She doesn't have a family. She's just trying to get somebody to say, oh, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So I did that once. Literally, no one responded on the Facebook group. I mean, they could have responded to her directly. I don't know, but nobody responded to her. So I sent my stuff out last month. Sunday, right? That was last night. Sunday, I noticed that my neighbors have this little card in their door, and I had one too. A little card in their door. Oh, I'll show you exactly what it is. I took a picture of it. Guts. And I don't know. It's too coincidental. This is literally the day and the time of my event. Meet your neighbors night. You're invited to talk on Tuesday at her house. This is the agent. And she did it Sunday. She put it in everybody's door Sunday night. Somebody must have told her. Somebody probably innocently that I invited told her about my event. I mean, there's no way this is coincidental. It's the exact same time. Exact same time.
Yeah.
I think so too. I hope nobody showed up. I mean, I'm sorry. I hope nobody showed up. Yeah, I'm sure some other friend of mine just happened to have a conversation with her. Like, oh yeah, let's see these things, or
And this is this Sunday, this coming Sunday?
No, it was last night.
Oh, it was last night. Oh,
And
okay.
this past Sunday, 2 days before. You think if she's having an event, she's normally gonna invite people 2 days before and stick it in the door?
No.
She got wind of what I was doing. In my opinion, I could be completely off base. My opinion, she got wind of what I was doing.
Right there, because it sounds very.
She got wind of what I was doing, had these little things printed up. Nobody's gonna invite people 2 days before it
No.
and stick it in 100 people's home doors, Oh, meet your neighbors.
And this event was in the neighborhood?
No, it was at a local brewery.
Hers?
No, hers was at her house. It was at her house. I'm so curious to know if anybody showed up, because,
It is weird.
right?
Yeah. I would be suspicious too.
Literally at the same exact time as
You're
mine.
just like me. Sometimes I want to believe and think positive. It's a coincidence, but it sounds, our sixth sense is telling us.
Yeah.
I like that look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to believe in the goodness of people, but she rubs me wrong.
Yeah.
She has before, this isn't the first time, and that's why it kind of went together. I hope the neighbors felt the same way. That's what I'm hoping, when the neighbors felt the same way.
Yeah, maybe you should check with your invites, maybe. Or something like that.
I'm not even worried about it. You know what?
Yeah, exactly.
And that it's not even important, because people figure it out.
Most importantly is that in this case that you did correct neighbors.
Yeah. And I had several neighbors that came, and the neighbors that I invited that didn't come texted me and told me why they couldn't come. They texted me, I didn't invite everybody. I probably invited, trying to think how many neighbors. We have 100 homes. I may have invited 20 or 25 neighbors, of houses.
Yeah.
And maybe not that many, but probably at least 20. And they either came or they told me why they weren't coming.
Good.
Right?
Good.
They were either out of town, or they were doing
And it's
this,
understandable
doing
at this time of the year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people are in and out all the time right now.
Now, there's a whole bunch of people that I don't know,
Mhm.
right? And, but of the people that I know,
Yeah.
And then I invited, they either came or they told me.
Before you started this, in this business, did you know a lot of people in your?
I already knew these people.
Yeah.
We've lived there almost 20 years.
Oh. I'm
See,
not,
she's
I'm not a
brand new.
social guy, so. the only
She's
people
brand
that
new.
I know.
She's brand new.
You have this.
Yeah, now, there's a lot of new people in the neighborhood. There's a lot of new people in the neighborhood.
But
But.
people that you know,
Mhm.
if you get really strong with them, they're going to be able to talk to the ones that you still don't have.
Yeah.
Reach out.
Right.
And get
Well, and
them-
that's why I
get them
did,
to-
and that's why I did the little Popeye thing, you know, that's why I did, so I can at least, you know, I did a letter to, I think I showed you my letter I sent to my neighborhood.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Basically introducing myself, you know, saying, hey, this is what I'm doing now.
Oh, you already did that. I was gonna tell you, if you need mine, I can shoot you, but you already.
No, I did that, that was one of the first things I did.
Yeah.
Is I sent that out, so I sent that out to everybody with like a picture of me, I'll show you actually, may not have shown you. I sent it with, a picture of, I know I didn't send it to her. Why would I do that? I did give her a Popeye though, I did give her a
Is she-
Popeye, because I was
Is she
like,
with Keller Williams? Which one?
Sugarloaf, the Atlanta Partners. Atlanta Partners.
I
So
interviewed with her.
this is my letter.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
like, you know, the family.
Awesome.
Basically just, you know, hello friends, give an update on that's your life, blah, 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 you go to college, here's what I'm doing, you know. And of course it was pre-printed, and this is to get to my website, and then but I handwrote the
You know
envelopes.
you know what I recommend? That goes to your website?
Yes.
Is it a form or something?
Oh, no, it's a property search. It's a property search. You click on that
So
and you
the
can,
KW.
no, I have my own website.
But how are you collecting their information when you go
As
there?
soon as they go in there, they have to.
They have to enter. Okay, cool. Because obviously our my KW website, that's not collect information.
Mhm.
So my QR codes are going to the app because when they start using
They
the
have to
app,
register.
they have to at least give the email address.
Yeah, they have to register. They have to register on my, so this is my website. And so once they go in here, I can't remember if it'll let them look at one thing and then, because I haven't done it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they can look something up and then I think it says, you know, before they can get to the information, it makes them put their name,
Right.
phone numbers with it.
Awesome. That's the way to go.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm expecting.
and of course, nobody did it, but that's okay.
I'm expecting maybe after my second letter, to be able to, well, at least I was able to. I have seen people around, obviously, in my neighborhood, they have luck,
Mhm,
but I was able to get to know
mhm. That's great, because we literally just dropped and ran with ours, because I was trying to get them out so
them.
quickly.
200,
That's
I have
awesome.
260.
That's amazing.
And it took us, because of the weather, and I got help from my kids. So I couldn't just do it, you know, from 11 to 5, it's too hot, so we did it. And then the rain in the afternoon,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
But every time we had a chance, we went out, boom, 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 and it took us almost 3 days.
yeah.
But no, 2 days, right? To do that, but
And so did you knock on every door?
not on every door.
That was great.
Yeah,
That's
knock on
great.
every
We did
door.
not. We just
And if they didn't
dropped and
open,
ran.
we will leave the letter roll, and inside of the letter, the flag,
Mhm, mhm,
right down there.
mhm.
I noticed that some people got the flag and put it out. We didn't have a chance to interact, but they still, you know, got the letter, which was the most important thing. Put the flag out. So I would say probably a good, at least 35 to 40% of the subdivision put out the flag, which is, for me, that's great.
That's huge.
Huge.
That's
That
awesome.
means that at least that many had to read the letter,
Yeah,
at least.
because they can't get to the flag without the letter.
Exactly. And one of the guys that actually is using the app now, I'm trying.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, he was one of the ones that actually had left the flag down. So I never had the chance to.
But now,
But he called me, he said, hey, you left this, And I just want to know if the property that you have on Christiana Drive is actually still for sale. Obviously, when people go to the app, they can see listings there. They think you are the agent. So I was like, let me check for you. But, you know, I said, no, it's not active, blah, 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 blah. But we start now, he's going every night between 10:30
You
p.m.
can
and
see.
11:30.
Uh-huh.
And he's looking for properties. He wants to upsize, but he's looking to spend probably another $50,000 on. But hey, it's a double
You know
transaction
what?
because he's gonna have to sell this.
Yeah,
and buy
absolutely.
another one.
And talk to him about how, hey, I think he, you know, because you could probably set up a tracker for him. You know, if you know what area he's looking in,
Mhm.
and you could probably set up a tracker for him, say, hey, I keep an eye on some, you know, we're seeing a lot of price reductions lately, we're
Well,
seeing.
I added him to the neighbors because, you know, Command that you on his profile put the neighbors that I went and opened one of the addresses that he was looking at, and a couple of them actually. And I used the address and put it on the search box, and Command will tell you what specific neighborhood he belongs to. So you add that neighborhood, and everything that he's getting now is from those. So everything that he was using for search, now he's getting more properties in that area, in those areas. That's, I like that from Command. I like that from the smart plans and all that. Let's see how it goes. And then there was another girl that, or lady, that downloaded the application, but she hasn't done it. She hasn't done much of action there. But the other people that I within half my block of my house that actually had to talk to, there were two people that said, yeah, we're thinking selling the next maybe 3 months worth.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I haven't like diagonal to me, so they have to see me and, you know.
Keep those
and I see
conversations
them.
going.
Yeah, of course, but I'm gonna be doing more, more letters. I just don't want to bother much people, but at the same time, I need to be in front of them.
They say if you're farming it, try to do something around about once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they said at Bowl. They said, if you could do some, well, you're a Bowl, right?
No.
Didn't you run a Bowl?
No.
Once a month, once a
Once a
month if you're farming it, right?
Yeah.
To put something out there.
I'm thinking about to do something like interactive,
Mhm.
you know, action calls, calls to action, whatever you call it, in that letter. So I'm thinking
yeah.
something very, you know, go like my Facebook page. I'm about to launch my, you will get an invitation.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, my professional Facebook page. So hey, go.
Well, you could do a contest.
Exactly.
You could do a contest.
And that's
So
what I'm
if you
thinking.
like my Facebook page and, you know, or if you, maybe you invite a friend to join or something like that and you tag it, whatever, then you get an entry to win the $100 Amazon gift card.
Exactly. And we have, this invitation has gone only to 216 homes, and it's gonna be 5 or 6 of those, you know, cards. You know, you have a lot of chances to win something that people don't think.
Yeah,
is,
so
you know,
think about the logistics of it all,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah,
easy. And then you get them in your Facebook page and you start
Yeah.
communicate them to them in different
communicating
ways.
with them, getting more involved.
Then you can start providing information, you know, like on my page, you know, like we have the blogs, we have the blogs, we have the tips.
We don't have a Facebook page
Yeah.
for the community, and I want to start that.
You could be the administrator,
Oh,
talk to Allison Edwards. She does hers. She's the administrator for her Facebook page. She's my idol, by the way. I want to be Allison
Allison
Edwards.
Edwards,
Uh-huh. Allison Edwards.
and she's with us here.
You've seen her. She's got blonde hair. She's about my age. She's actually just a little bit older than me. She's awesome.
She sits here?
Yes,
Okay, I think.
yes, she's awesome.
She's,
awesome. She's the ALC. She's the
Yeah.
ALC. She's only been doing this for about 4 or 5 years.
Really?
She's killing it,
And she's killing that.
killing it. And she is the admin for her neighborhood Facebook page. And she farms her neighborhood. She started farming her neighborhood from day one, and she's killing it. Killing it. So talk to Allison. You know she would be happy. In fact, I think she's doing a class next week, or talk to her before then.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That would be great. You can be the admin there
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and-
and then you're coming from contribution too.
exactly.
You know,
It's
it's
like-
huge.
It's my subdivision. It's for me, the cheap subdivision. It's great in regards to.
What's your neighborhood?
Patriots Point in Lawrenceville.
In Lawrence.
And it's a very small subdivision. The houses are small, these are townhouses and blah, 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 blah. They have a lot of great things, but they have a lot of not so great things, such as,
But see, that
They-
helps, that actually helps to develop a sense of community too. If people become a
Yeah,
part of that,
yeah.
then you can say, people can say, oh,
I'm part of the PTA in the elementary there, where
So you can provide
I can provide
information.
information that, I can keep people in the loop, hey,
Does your PTA have a Facebook page?
they do, but it's really weak. So
Maybe you can offer to help.
I can offer to help that, on that. And they also have, the school has a, dying to get into that. I haven't been able to say I wanna do it because I don't know how they take it. I'm trying to establish my name first. Because they, business owners, that their kids go there and they can't. But one was, come on, every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, I see them, I know who they are.
You just need to talk to the administrator at the school.
Yeah.
They probably handle that. The other thing, do you guys have a,
Sure.
Yes.
they probably have levels.
Yeah.
They probably have levels of.
Yes, I will. Thank you so
They
much.
probably have
Welcome. I'm just gonna leave it
silver,
kind of
silver,
private. Okay.
silver.
And we'll make sure to close it. You're the
My
best.
guess is
Thank you, you
$500 would be a
too.
high level.
That's it.
It would be a pretty high level. Yeah, for an elementary school, I would think so. The other thing is, do you guys have all pro dads at that school?
How do I?
All pro dads.
I don't think so.
It's a group for dads, which would make sense for you to maybe try to look into it. They do it all pro dads. All pro